So welcome to the fourth. Are we fourth episode?
Yeah, somewhere around there. I'm not the one keeping track.
It seemed like a lot more when it shouldn't have. But I think we're number 4 now. So we're joined by Braxton.
All right.
He writes to recite video game stuff, and we're joined by Tim, who's working on a secret thing with us.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Well, it's a secret-ish kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we'll go into detail in an update video we're making over the weekend. But basically, it's a new video series we're trying out, which is pretty cool, I think. Like, the idea is pretty solid.
Yeah, I'm definitely hopeful of it.
We'll give you a cue. Like, film buffs will like properly be into it. Like me and you are really excited about it. And Braxton, what's that?
Yeah, it sounds pretty great. I'm excited to see what you guys do with it.
Our first topic is just breaking. So Twitch have announced they're doing an expo, yet another one. So how many do you have in the US at the moment, Braxton? Because you seem to have a convention for every aspect of gaming.
Yeah. I think it sounds great. Just another opportunity for content creators to be with the fans, and it's open to the public, right? I didn't get to read all
it's open to the public and stuff.
That sounds great. Just another expo for adding to the long list of PAXs and everything. I think it should be pretty cool.
See, the annoying thing about it for like us over here is that there's only that one big convention, which is Eurogamer.
Yeah.
like the whole of UK has like one convention, and a tiny one just for indie games. But it would have been nice to have seen like Twitch come over here in Europe and base it in like somewhere else out of the US, because the US has like a PAX for every single state. It seems
pretty much.
And everything like that. It would have been nice to see it come over here, especially with Minecon moving around. But then again, it might move around every year like Minecon. That's been in Las Vegas, London, and Europe, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think that the booths will be? Just people meet and greets, or?
Yeah, I think it would probably be some sort of signing thing, and I don't know, maybe have people playing on the show floor or playing their games, or there's more talk shows now, and maybe see Colin and Greg doing something there. So that would be pretty cool. I'm excited to see what it's all about.
Yeah, like at EGX in the UK, they around the Twitch booth, it's always packed with people watching and stuff. So it's clearly an audience, people to watch people Twitch in person.
Yeah, I could see them throwing together some sort of tournament for everybody at the expo. That would be pretty cool to see all my favorite Twitchers, competing together.
Yeah, I bear in mind VidCon's a massive success with all the YouTubers that go to it every year. Like everyone who's everyone there, so maybe they're hoping for that kind of aspect.
I think that's another point with obviously having such a big aspect of people that will go there is getting the word out. So obviously if you get a big YouTuber turn up, just drop one little line about a certain indie game that's coming out, there you go, they've pretty much made it already. It's amazing advertisement for them.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
I agree.
So what other things do you think need a convention? Like PlayStation have one, Xbox haven't had their own convention yet, which seems to be the only big player out there that hasn't had one.
Yeah, for sure. I think I could see. They have their Microsoft thing, and Xbox got a little bit of showtime there with their convention last month, where they showed off Windows 10. But I don't know. I don't know if Windows will break off and do their own Microsoft one for Xbox. They're a whole separate convention for gaming. I think the fan base for PlayStation exclusives is much wider. I mean, you got Xbox with Halo and everything, obviously, but I don't know. Maybe once Microsoft gets the Halo out the door this November, or hopefully this November, I think we could possibly see a convention in their future.
Well, you've worked with phones, Tim. Do you reckon Apple could maybe have their own fan convention? Bearing in mind,
I think they could,
because it basically is a cult as it is already.
Yeah, I think the problem is with Apple is that they tend to stray away from what other rivals are doing. I mean, Samsung will go out and hold big conventions and do loads of things, and Apple sort of shy away from it, very much like what Xbox does with Sony. Sony will create a handheld console, and everyone will wonder, where's Xbox's version of the Vita? And they just don't do it. It's just territory that they don't bother getting into, purely because they probably feel like they don't need to. And I think Apple do that as well with their conventions, and at the end of the day, the hype for Apple is so massive, doesn't matter what time of the year it is or what product they're releasing. people will buy whatever they throw out there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have to rely on marketing as much as
it sells itself. It's such a well-known household brand.
Yes, yeah.
The next bit, which is kind of related, is Rockband. Is like the rumours for a new Rockband been increasing like week after week. Then when they sent out a survey going who like what platforms do you want it on? I mean, also the Studio Harmonix have also pointed that they want to make it. So would that be something that you'd be excited about, or?
Oh, definitely. I've always been a massive fan of Guitar Heroes and Rocksmiths and rock bands as well. I've had them throughout all the years, and it's a bit of a shame that the Guitar Hero franchise sort of just went, you know, like a doornail, just dropped. But definitely Rocksmith coming back.
Rockband.
Rockband, that's the one.
Yeah.
Coming back, I think that would definitely be a big contender in the music industry, especially for gaming, because the only thing out there is Rocksmith now.
Well, which is amazing. Rocksmith is amazing, but it's a much more serious thing. It's not. It's not like get a group of friends around and play Rocksmith. It's more of a thing you use to play your favourite songs, rather than Rock Band is like it's the best party like thing. And also, like Guitar Hero is dead with Activision, and it's probably not going to come back for a long time.
Yeah.
So basically, it's an open market with the next gen consoles out with nothing they can do. So it seems like the most easiest way to grab money. And especially coming back now where nearly every console is connected online, just think of the amount of DLC that they could make from that. Like back then, it was the medium thing DLC, but now like people just expect DLC.
I remember when Guitar Hero 3 came out on the 360, you know, when it first came out, and they started releasing DLC for it, and there was Foo Fighters Muse DLC for that. And I had never really seen DLC before, and I was amazed by it. And I thought, well, you know, it's going to take off. But Guitar Hero 3 only had like, I don't know, maybe 1-2 music map packs that were sort of put onto that.
Yeah.
And everything else since that, so especially Rock Band, it had tons and tons of different DLC available to it. But
well, also like imagine if they like brought all the DLC over to the new store, because like all of the codes there, so it's literally just reprogramming it for the new engine that they use.
Yeah, honest, and the people that already have it just get it for free.
Yeah, so it's an easy money maker to basically bring that game, and everyone's going to buy it because they want it on like their new console, because all of their others are like in the shed, and then you've got all this DLC just waiting to be like bought by people. Which people will do. It's definitely like an opportunity. So do you reckon we'll get an announcement at E3 this year? Or do you reckon it'll be later on?
I would hope so. I think the only problem is that are they going to be sort of, excuse the pun, but flogging a dead horse? You know, is that sort of aspect of gaming done with now?
Well, the one's there for it though, because it's open. People have the things. They basically need to like a game on the new consoles.
Right. I think the thing is too is that this would be the first type of that sort of game on the next generation consoles. I mean, you have Rocksmith, but. And that has its fan base, but I don't think it's anywhere near as big as Rock Band was on last generation. And I think you have those people that are coming over and have next-gen consoles now that are going to want to pick that up and go through all of it again. But at the same time, I wonder, are there going to be people out there that own next-gen consoles and are going to be like, you know, I've already put money into all the accessories and everything for last generation. Do you think they're going to hop back into it, or do you think a lot of that fan base is, stuck in last generation still?
Well, it's a bit of an odd one. Like the figures that keeps coming out basically shows that people are moving over at a ridiculous rate.
Yeah.
I think it's 18 million PS4s. I think at the moment it's around that figure.
Yeah, I think a little over that now.
Which is crazy. So clearly there's people there that have it. But I think the way that they could literally like bring an audience over is if they managed to make it cross compatible with the previous guitars, which I'm sure they can because it's just a Bluetooth receiver by USB. If they can do that and then just say buy the new game and your old guitars will work, I reckon that's like everyone's going to do it who's got it, because it's basically like dead weight, the guitars, unless you have the game. So people are going to think, well, I already have the guitar, so if I buy the game, it's basically saving me money.
Exactly. And I hope they do something like that too. I mean, I could see, not to be a pessimist or anything, but I could see them saying, releasing a bunch of new guitars and drums and everything and saying this is only compatible with the next generation version. And I think that's going to turn a lot of people off. It's going to turn me off. I'm not going to go out there and spend a bunch of money on those sort of accessories, when I know I can get different games for that. type of money. So I think it would be really smart for them to just carry over all the accessories from last gen.
I think that's going to be the problem is the price. I think if they decided to create that franchise again and start, putting that on the market, I think it would definitely sell. I mean, I'm definitely sort of somebody that would definitely buy it, but
well, an interesting thing they could do.
It's all down to price. I mean, you look back at sort of like the Guitar Hero World Tour when that came out. I think
I bought that.
So did I. But you had the drum kit, you had the bass guitar, you had a normal guitar, you had and the microphone and everything, and it was like £100, £200. It was really expensive.
Well, one interesting route they could,
you put that on top of the price of the console. For the Xbox One, it's going to cost you the best part of £400. None of it's cheap anymore, and do people have the money to shell out for stuff like that?
Well, a genius idea that I've just come up with is if they went free to play, because free to play at the moment is massive. Yeah. Think about having like a base of like 5 or 6 songs, which isn't much, but basically your guitars carry over or they don't, and then you buy the tracks you want, like the packs. I think that would be a genius route in this current day and climate, where free to play is taken off as anything, and you just pick and choose the packs that you want. Maybe not going into the individual songs, because then you kind of get too narrow of a price range.
Yeah.
But if you say have like a rock pack and a Foo Fighters artist pack, I think that would be a genius move for them. And then they could also sell the controllers on top of that. So they got 2 revenues. They got the controllers, and then they got the DLC. I think that would be like a game of the current times and reflect on what it's like, and it would fit in massively.
Yeah, like a free-to-play game, but with microtransactions. It's just buying additional albums and stuff like that.
And also then they can do it all digital as well. It hasn't got to be physical copies, which saves obviously on like all that price of shipping. I mean, let's say E3 conference and Sony and Microsoft come out, one of them, and go, here we go, it's out today, Rock Band.
Who do you think would do it? Who would be the one to release that during E3? Microsoft or Sony?
Well, who publishes Rock Band? I can't remember. It's not Activision. They own.
It's not Activision.
Square Enix.
I know it. I know it's Harmonix, but they're not signed to a studio. So, but I know it's owned by a big company.
No idea.
I know it might be owned by Harmonix, but if it's owned by Harmonix, that definitely could be interesting because they're not. I know EA is EA.
Yeah.
But then EA publish Rocksmith as well, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, I think they do. So in the free to play, be completely different, and it would be a modern thing. I think that's definitely the way to go. Oh, it's Ubisoft, but still, it would still work free to play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's still there.
I think if we were to see a showing at E3, I think Microsoft would probably lead that. Sony's just so packed down with all the exclusives and trying to get footage of Uncharted. That'll probably be the big one. And if we'll see an Uncharted remastered collection too.
But so on to our next topic is it's one for the UK people. But Zane Lowe left Radio 1. Me and Tim are big fans of Zane Lowe. He literally pioneers new music, but now he's leaving to go towards Apple. Are you sad?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm happy that he's going to Apple, which is strange. It's a weird company to go from the UK's #1 radio station to Apple.
Well, the rumor is he's got to go and build their Spotify equivalent Beats music.
Yeah, but I think for Apple it's awesome, but for BBC it's not as awesome. It's a bit sad, to be honest. But he's been there for like 10 years, so can't spend the rest of his life in one place.
Well, the thing I'm sad about is that when I heard this news, I didn't see the Apple bit straight away. But like it's not as if this DJ is going onto another radio station. He's completely like leaving the public sphere.
Yeah.
And he he's so well renowned for music. Like all these musicians tweeting out Ed Sheeran, Sam Smith, the Wombat saying that they made this career. Like he's the only like interviewer I know who can get on a personal level with Chris Martin, Eminem, Dave Grohl. It's like they're friends talking.
Yeah. Well, it's like the sort of the Meet Me sort of series that you did with Kanye West. No one can sort of solidify an interview at that level with Kanye West. He's sort of a legend really, and he always will be. So it'll definitely be greatly missed.
Yeah, but like his passion for his music is ridiculous, and it's also just not that. Like his live DJ sets, I've been lucky enough to see it 3 or 4 times, but he's the best DJ I've ever seen live. Like I've seen all the big names, Skrillex, Deadmau5, Madian, I've seen them all. And Zane Lowe's the best live DJ I've seen. So it's going to be a shame for him to see moving over to the US and not playing the UK scene anymore much. But it's definitely a shame. But I think who's taking over? Annie Mac, I think.
Annie Mac, yeah.
But her presenting style is a lot more relaxed, and it's a complete opposite to Zane Lowe. Yeah. Zane Lowe was in there and passionate about everything. Annie Mac's more of the friendly approach, like a pal going, oh, it's good, it's a good track.
She's a lot more laid back about it, and it's a different atmosphere when you listen to her than what it is with Zane Lowe. But I think she's got big boots to fill, basically.
Yeah, definitely. Like if I'm honest, I see that slot going this time next year. Like Radio 1's changing, and it's probably gonna go to like the YouTubers, because kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, like Radio 1's kind of embracing the YouTube scene and getting the YouTubers on. So I feel like that slot's going to go for a more younger demographic kind of show rather than the new music, which is a shame because like so many big bands have had their start on there. Like Ed Sheeran was literally made by Radio 1, and Sam Smith. Well, like all these big names were made by this particular show, which is crazy to think. But yeah, it's going to be a shame.
Yeah, 5th of March I think is his final one.
Yeah, which is very quick, like 2 weeks' notice we basically had. It must have been a very quick move.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to our next topic. So Braxton, you've just finished the order. Literally
just completed it like 20 minutes ago.
How was it? Bad or good?
Neither. You know, I think it's somewhere right in the middle of that. It does a couple of things really well. Mainly the voice acting. The voice acting is absolutely magnificent. The game looks beautiful. I mean, you'd be pretty hard pressed to find a console game that looks any better than this. I think this is probably the best console game I've seen running. Soundtrack is great. Everything else kind of falls short in a way. I mean, it's a very, very linear game. I don't think a lot of people are expecting the game to be just as linear as it is. And third-person shooter, coming from The Last of Us and Uncharted and these other PlayStation exclusive third-person shooters, you have this sense of freedom in those games and this sense of openness, and that is totally absent in the Order. The aspect ratio of the screen is slightly cut down to make it be a little bit more cinematic of a look, and that really is a big hindrance on the gameplay. I mean, shooting behind cover and stuff is nowhere near as polished as it should be.
But it was the same as Evil Within for me. Like the aspect ratio completely threw me off that game. I wanted to like it, but it was it's way more of a hindrance. Like maybe for the cutscenes, it would have been good to bring it down, but when you're going to the gameplay level, it just completely.
Yeah, I agree. And a game that messed with the aspect ratio and did a good job with it was The Evil Within.
You liked it?
Yeah, because you didn't have that cover-based shooter that the Order really is. It would be like Gears of War game, with the aspect ratio cut down, you can't really see what you're shooting at. So yeah, I was surprised just how much it affected a lot of the shootouts in the game.
I bought The Evil Within about like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I played like the first 2 chapters, I think, and I was surprised with the layout that it was. It's got a very sort of Resident Evil feel about it, which is nice because that's the classic sort of horror game. But yeah, it freaked me out too much. I haven't played it since.
So how long was the Order for you? How long was it?
I got over, I believe, just around 7 hours. A little under, a little over. I haven't checked my in-game time yet, but I was timing it on my phone, and somewhere around there. Just beat it in 2 sittings. Pretty straightforward. Very, very cinematic game, and I think that'll work as pros and cons for different people depending on the person. And for me, I really love cinematic games. I mean, The Last of Us is my favorite game of all time, and very, very cinematic game. Almost movie-like. But I never felt like The Last of Us or Uncharted per se was struggling to find a medium it belonged in. It was a video game at the end of the day. Yeah. And going through the Order, it would make a really good book. It would make a good movie. Didn't make that good of a game. I think there was really kind of the last medium it belonged in You know, I mean, it looks great and everything. It's aesthetically, you know, it's an aesthetic achievement, to be honest. I mean, it's atmospheric. The atmosphere in the game is great, but that's about as far as it goes, to be honest. And you know, I would have rather read a book about it or watched a movie of it. I think it doesn't really belong in the game space, and it's definitely not a standout, you know, for this year. You're going to be much happier with something like Dying Light that is a video game at the end of the day. And I think a lot of people from Sony and they're Ready at Dawn did the game, and I think this whole cinematic, what people are doing with cinematic games now is they're trying to bring it to a movie-going audience and people that haven't been gamers their whole life. You're going to see that. I'm like, oh, is that a movie? Oh, no, it's a video game. Okay, I might as well check it out, you know. And I think that's the message this game sent. But, you know, for somebody who is a gamer and who loves third-person shooters, this game kind of fell short.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'm looking forward to the most about the Order is the online YouTube version that's going to come out. It's going to be cut down just for story and just for good cutscenes and the interactive bits. You can watch it. A bit like when The Hobbit came out with a new one, and now someone's made a supercut, which is watchable.
It's not as painful to watch.
Yeah, like I can easily see what's happening to the Order, and it's probably in the works now. Someone's probably probably got it in edit thing. It's going to be great to watch it because like all the views, I said it literally is one of the best looking games like on a console at the moment. But that's the only strong point. But also, from what I've seen, the voice acting is amazing.
Yeah, was really impressed with the voice acting. And I think without a couple of these things, that the game did so well. I mean, the game is bearable mainly because it looks magnificent all the time. It ran great. I didn't run into any glitches, you know, any texture popping or anything. It was a very polished looking game, but you know, in other departments, I didn't think it was that polished.
Yeah, it's a shame, but like the interesting thing is that the new Assassin's Creed is going to be set in that time too, which is like it's going to be interesting to see like how contrasting that is, because now they've basically got the visual aspect to keep up like the steampunk kind of thing. Like there's reference to Jack the Ripper in the Order, isn't there?
Oh yeah, lots of references to Jack the Ripper, and there's a couple things that, you know, it's an alternate history game, so there's definitely a bunch of things tweaked. But there's the hints of real history in the game are pretty cool, and what I loved about the game was all the lore behind everything, and I honestly think that would make a great fan fiction book. And just when playing through the game, I was like, I want to know more about this, and then, you know, it just ends. It totally leads into what's inevitably going to be a sequel, which is a little disappointing.
You really think there's going to be a sequel after how it's performed?
Absolutely. Well, I think Sony's probably already given it the green light. I think
it could be their way of making the second one better than the first.
Yeah, I mean, I just recently played through the Uncharted games, and I thought the Drake's Fortune, the first one, was, you know, I thought it was fine, but by today's standards, I mean, I didn't think it was that great. But then the second game, oh my gosh, it was such an improvement, and by today's standards, I was like, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I actually did it through PlayStation Now. On my PS4.
Really? How was it?
Well, when it worked, it was great, but I ran into a lot of problems with that.
Yeah, well, on a tangent, do you reckon there should be an Uncharted HD trilogy? Like there's rumours of it coming out after E3, filling in the gap between now, and also they've just released like all these new trilogy art books like last week, which seems very convenient to be branding it as a full trilogy now.
Yeah.
So it could be a lead up to a HD trilogy. Personally, I would love it, but it's also been hinted. Like I think maybe about half a year ago, there was like a trailer coming out for Uncharted. Like it was a generic trailer, but it was all in 60 frames per second. There was no explanation why that trailer had the gameplay in 60 frames per second because the game's in 30.
Right. Yeah.
Unless it's running on the new engine for the HD trilogy.
Yeah, I'd happily play through the first two again. I think I got the experience that Naughty Dog wanted out of those games when playing on PlayStation Now, even though for the most time it was busted. But you know, at the end of the day, I really loved that game. You know, and through all the technical problems that are thanks to PlayStation Now, not Naughty Dog. I'd happily play through a polished HD version. And since I haven't played the third one, since that's not on PlayStation Now, I definitely need to pick that one up before not Drake's Fortune. Thief's End, number 4.
HD trilogy, if it does exist, which hopefully it will, because I really want it, is that it? It'll probably be 60 frames per second. But to go from an Uncharted game with 60 frames per second to then back to a 30 frames that a Thief's End is probably going to be because it looks amazing, I think that'd be kind of conning itself. So then it'll either feel weird or it'll be the opposite, where basically they're compromising the HD trilogy because they don't want to con themselves.
Yeah, I can see him doing that. I mean, I trust Naughty Dog more than any other developer in the gaming space right now. I think they're my favorite. You know, what they've done with pretty much every game they've put out has it's been a testament to the power of the system on the market at the present time. I think they'll do that with PS4. Just seeing some of the screenshots and that 15 minutes of gameplay from PlayStation Experience for Uncharted, I mean, that game looks like it's going to push the boundaries. And to have a game, I think the game looks great, and have that level of freedom, you know, that the first two Uncharted games had, you know, that's something the Order couldn't do. And that's what made me think a sequel to the Order game running on a polished engine, you know, like the Order, and set in a free, much more free environment. I think that's the game changer right there, and that's going to be the one that, you know, people look back on 10 years from now and be like, wow, that still holds up.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's going to be interesting to see, like the long term of that game. And also, do you reckon with the Order, like the rumor is, well, what everyone hopes is PlayStation Plus within 6 months. I think that's something that's been like wandered around. Do you reckon that's a possibility, or?
I think it's a possibility. I think it'd be way too ballsy, though, to be honest. I think a giant price cut would be I don't think it would be free. I think that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, it's possible. I could see them doing something at E3. But, no, I can see a big price cut, though. I mean, $15. I think that would be reasonable. Definitely, you know, anybody listening who's thinking about picking up the Order at full price, unless you're super determined to get it, I really can't recommend it. I mean, there's absolutely no replay value unless you're super dedicated to get all the trophies, which I almost got my first playthrough. I have 3 or 4 left until I get the Platinum, which I should be able to just breeze through in a few, revisiting a few parts of the game. But, yeah, honestly, there's no replay value, and aside from the game looking great, I really don't think it demands $60.
Okay, well, we're also waiting for the Drive Club PS edition, if that ever comes out. So let's be honest, PlayStation not the most reliable for bringing out editions. But
yeah, I'd see 2016 for that Drive Club thing.
That's crazy. Do you think it still exists, or?
Oh yeah, Sony just commented on the other day. It says, yeah, it's still coming.
Yeah, but they said that 3 months ago.
I know. That Drive Club is just such a mess. Oh my gosh.
Big E3 surprise is actually released.
Yeah, I think
amazing.
It would be reasonable.
But yeah, so also on some more music news, the Foo Fighters were just announced as Glastonbury headliners. Me and Tim are massive fans of the Foo Fighters. Look, even the T-shirt today.
Oh, nice.
But like 20 years, they've been trying to get them to headline, and now it's eventually happened. Are you looking forward to watching it, or?
Definitely. Tim? I cannot wait. Cannot wait. I think it was their 20th anniversary, I think, the other day, since their first ever live performance. So it's weird that it's taken them this long to headline Glastonbury. It's very strange, but totally stoked about it. It's a really good thing.
Yeah, we're also playing some Wembley shows before, which would be cool to see, like what it's like. They're playing Sunderland on the 25th of May, and then coming back over on the 20th of June to play that, which also makes me think that they may be doing Radio 1's Big Weekend, because they're over here just playing Sunderland on the 25th, and the big weekend's on the 20th of May. So that could be plausible. They're also playing 2 festivals this summer in the UK.
Yeah, it would make perfect sense for them to do that, especially to promote their new album, but it wouldn't surprise me if they don't, because the dates are so close together, but they'd be stupid not to, in my book.
Yeah, so what do you think of the latest album? Did you think it was good, or?
I thought it was awesome, absolutely awesome. That has been constantly played on my Deezer, just on my playlist. It's just constantly going and going and going every time I go to work, which is fantastic, but I just can't get enough of it. I think it's a great tribute to what their original stuff was like as well. They haven't strayed away, they haven't done anything that's not what they were about. Fantastic.
And did you watch the Sonic Highways TV series that they did? Did you enjoy that? Or
I haven't seen that.
You haven't?
No, I feel like so ashamed that I haven't seen it yet.
It's definitely worth watching. Like, it basically each track in depth on how they recorded it and why they recorded it, going around all the states in the US. As it was directed by Dave Godd himself.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a lot of things. And like Barack Obama's even interviewed in one of the, I think in the Washington one, it was actually interviewed about the music and stuff, which was crazy to see.
Yeah, especially to get Barack Obama on board. That's quite a feat, isn't it?
Yeah, so going back to gameplay times, so what do you think the perfect playtime for a game is? Or is there not one?
I don't think there really is one until, I mean, to each its own. I think there's a sort of demand for a longer game that you're going to spend $60 on now. For a AAA game, there's kind of like this bar that it has to be, you know, over at least like 10 hours or something for people to really get their money's worth. But, you know, what I think of this whole thing is I'm not really, I'm more of quality over quantity. I mean, I could, if Order was 7 hours of a masterpiece, that's great. I'd give it $60 in a second, you know, but I think it needs to be quality, and it needs to be quality time if it's going to be short, and I think, you know, these bigger games that go on forever and ever can make up for that, saying, you know, we're a 16-hour, 20-hour game, and you're definitely going to get your $60 worth out of it. But there's a line that a lot of people, or a lot of developers, I think, are struggling with. You know, you saw it with Alien Isolation. You know, a lot of people said that game should have ended a lot earlier, and
so
people
many
still
thoughts endings in that game.
Yeah.
You know, and the same goes for The Evil Within. I mean, I cap it off at, you know, 10 hours, and I would have been totally happy with that. But it went on far too long, and there's, you know, I could list plenty of examples that I think lose themselves in trying to, you know, produce this quantity over quality. And I think it really comes back to, you know, what each gamer wants. I mean, I want a quality game. I could care less how short it is or how much it costs.
I think there's a lot of games now that will not just, I mean, because multiplayer is the biggest it's ever been now. I think, especially the Call of Duty franchise, you know, you play the storyline on that, and that's going to take you, what, 6-7 hours worth of.
Yeah, the last one took me like 5, so.
If that, and you think, okay, well, what do I do now? You've got the world's biggest sort of like online multiplayer that you can have, and that, you know, it's endless amounts of fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that's you know, for games packaging story and multiplayer is the fallback for how much money you're going to spend on a game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, The Last of Us, you know, I keep going back to The Last of Us because it's a cinematic game, and it's you know, it took me 12 hours to beat. Yet those 12 hours were worth you know, every penny of the $60 I spent. You know, they didn't need the multiplayer. And, you know, that comes back to the quality of it. You know, I think that game is a masterpiece, and they didn't need the multiplayer, but the addition of that is a great example to set for, you know, what the Order should have done. That should have had a multiplayer. You know, even if it would have felt tacked on, it would have given me, you know, at least another 2 hours of that game that would have made me feel like, you know what, this money might not be as poorly spent as initially, you know, finishing the story. It's like, yeah, that's not a $60 game. And it's not because of the time, you know. If it was 7 hours and I loved every second of it, you know, that's $60 I'm happy to spend. But it really comes back to, you know, is the game good or not? And, you know, a lot of people are on the same page with the Order. It's not getting that great reviews, you know, from a lot of people, bad reviews. And, yeah, I think it's well-deserved. Yeah,
well, the best kind of game for me is like Dying Light at the moment. Like the story's there if you want, and then there's like hours upon hours of side quests. You can just pay through and pick out you want. Like at the moment, I'm breezing through the story again and literally just going through the story. But there's so many side quests that I still need to play.
Yeah, I think Dying Light's a great example of that. Yeah, I actually didn't like the story in Dying Light at all, but, you know, that's not what that game is about. You know, it's about the gameplay and its mechanics and everything, and I 100%ed the story, you know, pretty quickly, but, you know, that's where the game really got going for me. Once, after finishing that, you know, I've put 20-plus hours into that game, and I feel like my $60 is justified with, the amount of fun I've got out of that. Just running around, popping it in for 15 minutes, and cutting up zombies. That's fun, and it offers a lot of replay value. There's a leveling system to go back to, and games that don't have that, I think should be marked down. Especially from a AAA space, and I think that's kind of what we're referring to. Indie games is another, whole nother story.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think they need to make a game that is along the same sort of lines as like Skyrim or Fallout. Something that storyline is the only option that you've really got, and it is going to take you 60 hours to do everything, if not longer. If you want to really knuckle down and complete every single aspect of the game, they're the sort of 2 games that you'll play. And the only other things that I've played that are remotely like that would be something like Destiny or Borderlands or Far Cry. Those sort of games. It's not the storyline that matters. It's the side quests. Exactly. Not so much the multiplayer, but the side quests that keep you involving every single time.
Yeah, and I think
you just sort of start from the beginning and go to the end of the storyline. Your character isn't going to be completely maxed out. You're not going to have all the legendary weapons or whatever equipment you may have. The side quests are going to offer you that. So you need to do those before you finish the storyline, which just yet again just expands the time that you're playing it for, which is fantastic. I think that's what all games will need.
Yeah, and you're seeing that in the AAA space now. Like you mentioned, Destiny. I really think that is one of the only next-gen games, if not the only next-gen game, that really has that vast 100-plus hours that you're going to get something, new to a degree, with what weapons or armor you have. And I think that game was received, differently by people. And you see some people, those servers are, being used every single day. That game has a giant fan base. And I really think next-gen consoles are dying in a dire need for the Fallout 4 or, the next Skyrim or something that single-player centered that people can really hop into. Destiny is an always online game, so in a way, I don't believe that is that Fallout game that the consoles need. But at the same time, that's just the gaming generation we live in. Everything is online now, and it's with the next generation of consoles, that's what gamers have had to come to accept.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sort of I've completed the storyline on Destiny now. I only actually got it like 2 weeks ago for the first time. And I'm still rocking the 360, so I'm not even on next gen yet.
Yeah.
So, and for me, I know that the quality of the game is going to be improved on the next gen, and I can see that by the sort of videos that I'm watching on YouTube, and the graphics are amazing. So I know I'm missing out, but the story's still the same. The aspect of the game is still the same. And I've probably put in about 50, 60 hours into the game already, and my character still isn't maxed out. I'm close to it, and there's been so many times over the last sort of week or so that I've thrown the controller down because I'm sick of how repetitive the game is, and just constantly doing the same strikes, the same raids over and over and over again, and then becoming easier and easier and easier over time, and I'm still not getting the things that I want, but I don't know, something about it just keeps making me pick up the controller and trying again, and it's working because I'm getting there. I think I'm level 28 now, so when I got to 20 and I had to start collecting light for the armor and stuff like that, I was so confused. I was just like, what? I need to collect light now? Like, what is this? But
I definitely think Destiny is a bit of a mixed bag. How you said you were throwing the controller down about how repetitive it is. And I think, I don't know, I'm waiting for that game that I, dump 80 hours into and feel like I'm getting something new out of it every time. And I don't think that game is there. At least it's not a remaster. A lot of people, you say Grand Theft Auto 5 is that game, and now that it's on next generation consoles and everything, everybody's moved over, and that's, I think that's where it's at for a lot of people. But in terms of an exclusive next gen game that offers that diversity every time you come to visit the the world, I don't think it's there just yet. Far Cry toyed with it, but I think I was done 20 hours in. I was like, I've seen everything in this game, and now I'm going for the platinum and almost there, but I've seen everything by now, and I just can't wait till that game comes out where I'm 30 hours in and say, oh my gosh, there's so much left to do. I haven't even touched it yet. So I think it will be there. I mean, the power is in those consoles, and it's just up to the developers to tap into that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Definitely agree.
Okay, so every week you round up by recommending something for you to watch or maybe play. So I'll start off today. So the best musical in history, Tenacious D: The Pick of Destiny, literally is the best musical ever made by any shot. It's amazing. It's got Jack Black and Kyle Gass in. It's got Dave Grohl, Ben Stiller. It's crazy. It's one of the best films ever made. Like not critically, but for me, it's such a cult following. If you love Jack Black and his humor, go and see it if you haven't already seen it, and if you have, go and watch it again because it literally upholds its time value. Have you seen it, Tim?
Yes.
And isn't it amazing?
It's like one of the best films I've ever seen.
I haven't seen it. I gotta write this down.
You haven't seen it? Well, you're missing out, man.
Oh well, I'll check it out.
The best musical of all time. So Tim, what do you want to recommend?
I'm just going to recommend anyone that hasn't seen it already is to watch Sons of Anarchy. I am just smashing through that on Netflix now, and I'm just amazed by it. I can't believe it's taken me this long to start watching it. I'm actually kind of disappointed in myself that I haven't watched it yet. So yeah, definitely get involved with that one. If you like bikes, guns, and tattoos, do it. Do it.
And Braxton?
I'll do Kingsman: The Secret Service. It's a movie that came out last week. Is it where you guys are at now?
Yeah. It came out 2 or 3 weeks ago over here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lucky you got it earlier. Yeah, I absolutely love that movie. I think it's probably the first great movie of this year. It's super funny. Takes everything I love about spy movies and really takes that to the next level. It's a great movie, and if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. It's one that should be seen in the theater. And after trudging through all these mediocre or even bad movies in January and everything, I think this is the one that deems getting out of the house to go and see. It's great.
Yeah, see, the weird thing is about you saying January, it's so different for us in the UK because we get all the Oscar bait films January. So, so you got all these Americans saying it's the worst month, and over here, you've got Birdman, you've got all the Oscar films. It's so funny to say January's the worst month over here.
Oh, that's funny.
It's the best month. But yeah, so that's Kingsman, Sons of Anarchy, and Tenacious D. Try and do all three, or if not, pick one. So yeah, the Oscars are also on Sunday, so hopefully before this goes up. And we did a review discussion before. If you want to check that out on our YouTube, I'm also on Patreon, so you can help us fund new product. So you can help us fund new projects. So that's patreon.com/anglymicrowave, and all the other links are on the anglymicrowave.com. Thanks, Braxton, and thanks, Tim.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.